On behalf of the Bangsamoro people and the leadership of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, or MILF in short, I would like to express our appreciation and gratitude for being invited and be part of this meaningful event. Indeed, we are very honored to be able to share with you our experience in our search for peace, which started not only during our generation, but even during the time of our forefathers, during the colonization period in the 16th century. We sincerely believe that the long struggle we have undertaken to attain peace and justice for our people and homeland is very relevant to the theme of this international meeting for peace sponsored by the Comunità di Sant'Egidio, which is Peace is the Future. We likewise affirm that the role of dialogue has played very important role in sustaining our struggle for peace and progress in our homeland. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been witnessing conflicts after conflicts unfolding almost everywhere. We have witnessed the devastating outcomes of wars, from the petty arms conflict to full-blown wars. But after all the destructions of enormous lives and properties, almost all these wars are settled ultimately through dialogues. And therefore, I strongly believe that if a dialogue takes its course before we overtake it, we will always find war irrelevant and become illegitimate. Today we are gathered in this noble event to showcase our willingness and commitment to achieve our shared goal, that is to see the world free of unwanted conflicts. The result of war is always a serious calamity that does not spare non-combatants, and therefore it should not have been and should not be happening. Any attempt for war should be defeated. A world that is war-free is within our reach. If only demands our collective efforts and common stand to reject war as a solution and make dialogue as an ultimate alternative to war. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to bring your attention to the conflict in Mindanao, in southern Philippines, which is known as the Bangsamoro homeland, as this is one of the outstanding examples to elucidate the merits of dialogue over war as an option. The conflict in Mindanao Mindanao Island is one of the longest-running conflicts in the world, spanning 436 years to date. It started when the Spaniards in the 16th century came to colonize the present Philippine archipelago. Having subjugated the northern islands of what is now known as Luzon and Visayas, our ancestors, the native inhabitants of the southern part, which was at that time enjoying their independence and own system of governance under the different sultanates, prominent of which are the Sultanate of Sulu, Sultanate of Maguindanao and Buayan, and the Confederation of Leaders in Ranao, resisted to the colonization of the Spaniards, and thus they have never been colonized by Spain and were able to maintain their culture and Islamic belief. The Moros in Sulu in 1578 and later spread to Mindanao. The coming of Americans, however, is not a grandeur intervention to rescue our usurped territory and sovereignty. Their agenda was the same as the Spaniards' imperialism, but merely differs in policy, as they appears more pragmatic in their moral, psychological, and military warfare. The Americans have greatly disadvantaged the Moros, and they are proved to be more disastrous on a national grand scale when the United States of America granted the Spanish-conquered people an independent state in 1946, and for which they never conquered Mindanao and Sulu, have been illegally and immorally annexed to the entire territory of this newborn Republic of the Philippines. Under the Filipino Republic, the Bangsamoro experienced discrimination, oppression, and other forms of injustices as minority until in 1935, the government in Manila passed a law implementing systematic migration from the north to the south until they were able to effectively change the balance of population in the Bangsamoro homeland, turning the Bangsamoro still minority in their own homeland. The situation of the Bangsamoro worsened during the late 60s when the Philippine government did not succeed in its program of integrating the minority Muslims to the majority Christian population, started a genocidal campaign against the Bangsamoro people, massacring thousands of innocent civilians, men and women, and children, which motivated the rise of armed struggle, initially as a defense, and in the early 70s was proclaimed an independent movement. This gave birth to the revolutionary fronts, including what is now the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, formed in the early 1970s. The leadership of the MILF is governed by the principles of Islam as a peaceful religion. It never encouraged war as a substitute of peace. However, in some instances, it cannot avoid war as countermeasures to contain the aggressions of the Philippine government and its armed forces. The commitment and devotion of the MILF for peace is beyond reasonable doubt. For the past 17 years, since 1997, the government of the Philippines and the MILF have been locked up in negotiating table, with numerous major and minor skirmishes interrupting along the way. At times, the negotiation is marred with GPH's perpetuation to renege past agreement on one hand, and intimidating consequence of war on the other hand. True to the commitment to settle the conflict, the MILF has persistently opened its door and entered into a series of dialogues with the government of the Philippines for the sole purpose of resolving the conflict peacefully. Up to this day, the two parties are still engaged in series of dialogue until the final aspiration of the Moros or the Bangsamoro are met. The MILF negotiation with the GPH has resulted in the signing of a framework agreement on the Bangsamoro on the 15th of August 2012. The signed agreement serves as the roadmap for the final comprehensive pact, and on the 27th of March 2014, the final agreement of comprehensive agreement on the Bangsamoro was signed. This agreement could not have been possible without the overwhelming conduct of dialogues. Finally, let me inform you that the Community of Sant'Egidio is a member of the International Contact Group, or ICG, along with United Kingdom, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Japan, and other international NGOs. They were helping facilitate the GPH MILF negotiation. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Grazie.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your contribution and for giving us hope. You have showed us the importance of the dialogue. It's a replacement for war. We all know that war only brings destruction. and we know that dialogue is the means to peace. So we are very happy to be part of this negotiation, and we hope that the next steps will be fruitful.